waters move down through the Hawkesbury and Richmond areas, but we are also seeing the Warragamba Dam spill, and in fact that occurred at 2 a.m. this morning, well ahead of predictions. We stood here yesterday and also said that we were nervously awaiting to see if an East Coast low would form. Unfortunately, an East Coast low has formed this morning, and the current models suggest that it will linger until Tuesday. This means even more torrential rain, it means strong damaging winds, and it means coastal erosion for Sydney, the Central Coast and the South Coast, and the Illawarra. We are now facing dangers on multiple fronts: flash flooding, riverine flooding and coastal erosion. So if you live anywhere between Newcastle and Batemans Bay, please don't be caught unaware by the current weather situation. This is a life-threatening emergency situation. If you know your local community is prone to flooding, then please be prepared to evacuate and at short notice. And to all communities between Newcastle and Batemans Bay, I'm respectfully asking that you reconsider your travel plans at this time. Please stay home if you can. In the last 24 hours, the SES has responded to more than 1,400 requests for assistance. In the same 24 hours, they have conducted, with the support of our other emergency services organisations, have conducted 29 flood rescues. In the space of 24 hours, we've seen 945 SES personnel stood up and working around the clock to respond to this current and unfolding emergency situation with this weather system. The SES and the BOM are continuing to issue evacuation orders and warnings. So please listen to their advice. Please ensure that you are not caught unawares. We've said this before, it is a rapidly evolving situation. So please continue to listen to the advice of the BOM, listen to the advice of our emergency services organisations. Please stay up to date. Please be prepared to evacuate at short notice. And if you are feeling uncomfortable or unsure about your circumstances and there is an opportunity for you to leave earlier, don't necessarily wait for an evacuation order to be issued to your area. Please take the opportunity, if you can, to leave early if you are worried about your personal circumstances. And I'll now hand over to Jane Golding for an update on the weather.
Hi everyone. So as expected, we have seen that East Coast low form off the mid-north coast of New South Wales, and we've seen that coastal trough that's been lingering since Friday continue to deepen. So that's produced some extraordinary rainfall rates over the last 2 days. Over the last 24 hours alone, many locations have seen upwards of 200 millimetres, and some along the Illawarra close to 350 millimetres. So the East Coast low is continuing to develop as forecast, and the forecast is for it to continue to develop and track slowly southwards and closer to the Hunter Coast and to the Sydney coast over the next 24 hours. The signs are it will remain in our region through until Tuesday before gradually shifting offshore some more. So what that means is widespread rainfall continuing. There are some signs that it may ease, not clear, along the Illawarra today, however increase again along the Illawarra tonight. For the Sydney area, we can expect more heavy rain today, particularly out towards the Blue Mountains and the Western Sydney area over the Hawkesbury Nepean complex. And we can expect more heavy rainfall to affect the Central Coast and other parts of the Hunter district today. As this low moves closer, we'll also see thunderstorms develop. So we know we've seen flash flooding already occurring, but we know thunderstorms can produce even higher rainfall rates. So flash flooding continues to be a key watch point for today, and it is likely to occur. As this low continues to track southwards and linger in our area, we're also expecting to see an increase in the wind. So that means trees down, we've already seen some damage from winds, more damage from winds. Trees down, power lines down. That'll whip up the waves even more, which means there are some stretches of the central New South Wales coast that are vulnerable to coastal erosion. They'd certainly need to be watching for that today. We do have several flood warnings out, and I'll just go through a couple of key ones to start off with. But before I get there, I'll say that the watch point for riverine flooding continues to be between Newcastle and Batemans Bay over the next 2 days. So the rain continuing, the focus area shifting slightly over the next 2 days. We have a major flood warning out for the Hawkesbury Nepean. So a peak's currently moving through the upper reaches of Nepean, where we've already seen major flooding around the Menangle area. That peak is approaching. Those floodwaters will move downstream towards North Richmond, Windsor, Wiseman's Ferry and Penrith area. And so those floodwaters, as they move downstream, will coincide with flows coming off Warragamba Dam, which, as the Minister mentioned, started to spill last night. And also that floodwater will also coincide with more rainfall that we're expecting today. So it's critical that residents along that river please keep an eye on the forecasts and the warnings, the flood warnings in particular, that are being issued by the Bureau of Meteorology. They're issued every 3 hours. They're updated as needed in between those, and they will be updated regularly today. And also please heed the advice of emergency services. We're working closely together. As in the intelligence and the observation comes in, we will adjust as needed. The Georges River as well, and the Warrenora area and the Georges saw a lot of rain yesterday. The Georges River at the moment, the peak moving through the Liverpool, expected to move through the Liverpool area. Our forecasters are currently reviewing that warning, and there may be an increase in the category of that warning. So for those along the Georges River, please, just in the next short while, and continuing on today, please check the flood warnings. So we do have many warnings out for this unfortunate rainfall event, yet another that New South Wales has had to bear over the last 2 years. There are several ways that you can get your updated information. So from the Bureau, really asking people to check our website regularly, use the app. The app's had push notifications enabled recently, so it's an easy way to get any warnings that are relevant for the area that you are in, automatically pushed to your phone. And please, just pay attention today and heed the advice of emergency services. Thank you.
Thank you. So we've heard this significant weather event is across a large footprint from Newcastle down to Batemans Bay. So we're asking people to be aware of their risk and have an emergency plan in case they need to evacuate or take note of our warnings that we will be issuing throughout this event. The next 24 hours will again be a busy time, but over the last 24 hours it's been extremely busy for emergency services. So the SES are out there helping the community, but we've called on assistance from our other emergency service agencies in New South Wales to assist us. And today we will see the ADF out assisting us with sandbagging. Some quieter times during the day, so I'd urge the community to take those opportunities to do a number of things in preparation. One, if you think you need sandbagging, go to your areas. It's on the SES website or the local council websites where you can get your sandbags and start some preparation for your property. Two, have an emergency evacuation kit ready with your important documents. Have some, if you're in an isolated area, have food, water, look after your domestic animals and make sure that you have a plan, and try and ring family and friends and organise where you might go if you do need to evacuate. We will have evacuation centres set up where they're needed, and at the moment we have 3, and those addresses are available on our SES website as well. So use those if you need that and you can't go elsewhere. Over the last 24 hours, we have had 29 flood rescues, which is disappointing. We ask the community to be really aware of the risks in driving around or walking around. We had one example where a person was walking through floodwaters and got swept away and had to be rescued, and were unable to be rescued for an hour and hanging onto a pole. You know, it's extremely dangerous out there. Stay out of the floodwaters, and we always warn, don't drive through floodwaters, and particularly don't walk through floodwaters or allow children to play anywhere near floodwaters as well. We have a number of youths isolated at a recreation camp in the Bargo area, and we're putting in plans to evacuate them today. They are safe at the moment, and we will get in them and take them to a place of safety. But again, another reminder of how quickly these weather events can affect your community and your surroundings. They can cut you off, they can cause flash flooding, and we know that there's the riverine flooding happening at the moment. And it is about the extent of the rain, the level of the dams. There's no room for the water to remain in the dams. They are starting to spill. The rivers are flowing very fast and very dangerous, and then we have the risk of flash flooding depending on where the rains are. So there's a lot of risk out there that our community needs to be aware of, and I ask you to heed the warnings. I remind people again that we will always try and do evacuation warnings before evacuation orders, but we have seen overnight where the rivers rise or there is flash flooding to such an extent that we have to go straight to an evacuation order. We've given warnings out all day yesterday for a number of areas that were at risk. So again, I ask people to heed those warnings, be prepared and be aware of your surroundings so that you can make a sensible and safe decision to get to a location of safety. Not only have we got the risk of the water and the flooding, but also these high winds that have been referred to by the Bureau of Meteorology. So last night we had around 40 houses affected in the Bellambi, Corrimal areas where roofs are affected, and we had to go out and assist those community residents. So winds are a big risk to our community as well. The ground's saturated, the trees are prone to falling, so we remind people not to park under trees, to be aware of what you have around your house or even on your apartment balconies, that things that are picked up and flown through the air in these winds can be extremely dangerous. And also take emergency services away to assist you where it could have been avoided, and not give the priority to those life-threatening areas that we might need to go and help the community. So I remind people, if you do need help from the SES, and sometimes it's the SES and our partner agencies will attend, ring 132 500. But if it is life-threatening, ring 000. Thank you.
And that was a live media conference. New South Wales State Emergency, a spokeswoman from the Bureau of Meteorology, re the worsening weather system now severely impacting New South Wales. We will continue to bring the latest information on this very fluid and heartbreaking weather event, and again, avoid travel or delayed travel. The weather is not going to ease up. I've provided a bit of footage from the GFS model pivotal weather website. The low pressure precipitation and Force 13's AU channel is also live streaming. This is a view of the Sussex Inlet. I'll be keeping a close eye on it because the Sussex Inlet on the New South Wales coast is under the severe weather warning. And there's quite a bit of information that can be provided. The position of the East Coast low, 1005 hectopascals, currently located 33 south, 155. There's also a trough from 25 south, 156, which is Fraser Island, down to 31 south, 156 degrees east. The low is expected to be 1012 hectopascals and be located near 34 south, 157. Bureau of Meteorology has updated the top priority severe weather warning for heavy rainfall damaging winds for the Metropolitan, Illawarra, the Hunter, Central Tablelands forecast districts. Heavy rainfall, locally damaging winds about the central New South Wales and east of the ranges. East Coast low currently lies off the central parts of New South Wales, directing humid air and areas of heavy rain across the central east of the state, and it's likely to continue in parts of the central east throughout today and may continue through Monday as well as the low approaches the coast. Heavy rainfall may lead to flash flooding forecast to continue in the Illawarra, Sydney Metro, the Blue Mountains, Hunter, including Central Coast districts today. However, the heavy rainfall is expected to continue over the Sydney Metro, Illawarra districts Monday. 6-hourly rainfall totals haven't changed. It remains 70 to 120 millimetres. Damaging winds averaging 65 kilometres an hour with peak gusts in excess of 90 kilometres an hour, and there's a possibility the wind gusts could reach 125 kilometres an hour. Likely along the coastal fringe, most likely this afternoon and evening. Heavy rainfall will further contribute to flooding already being experienced, increasing the potential for landslides. Rainfall from 9 a.m. Saturday to 9 a.m. Sunday, 368, 318, 298, 270, 265, 258 millimetres, and a building at Coimbra sustained roof damage and partial collapse Saturday evening. And there's a damaging surf severe weather warning for the Hunter, Metropolitan, Illawarra forecast districts. Peak waves expected later this evening and may coincide with evening tides after 10 p.m. Areas impact may include exposed coasts of the Hunter, Metropolitan, Illawarra forecast districts. Significant wave height or heights of over 5 metres are possible with peak periods around 11 seconds. Wave directions will be from the east and southeast. Beach conditions in these areas could be dangerous and people should stay well away from the surf and surf exposed areas. Warnings for other phenomena are also current for these areas. Locations that could be affected: Newcastle, Gosford, Sydney, Wollongong, Albion Park and Kiama. Bureau of Meteorology will update 1500 hours East Coast of Australia or Eastern Standard Time. There's a road weather alert for Sydney and all suburbs. There are many other warnings, and if you like to switch across after viewing this video to the live stream, it will remain continuous. So that's some of the information, and this is a historic system. To my knowledge, I really considering this point, I haven't experienced or seen East Coast low in winter off the New South Wales coast.